Welcome to 30 Minutes of Hell, Field of 68 Network with the coach, Paul Biancardi, East Boston legend, Pope John High School Tigers, Hall of Famer, Salem State, you name it, coast to coast, every continent on the planet. They know Coach B. Thanks for joining me, Coach B, and it's beautiful because you got red Auerbach right above your head, looking down on you.
Right up there, and I got Bird right on to the side of Red.
Puffing the stogie.
I got Larry Bird and Red Auerbach behind me.
Coach, the first Christmas gift I ever got, Larry Bird in the starting lineup, action figure. That's how we do it in Beantown. How are we, Coach?
I'm doing great.
Sorry, Larry.
I'm doing great. I watch you on the SEC network all the time, and I love it. You and Patrick Young, you two guys would make a nice screen and roll combination, by the way.
Well, where would you have ranked? He was what, a 5-star guy? Did we have ranked?
He was a 5-star guy. You were a 5-star shooter.
Hey, where can I get a hold of the 95 class rankings? 1995, that is.
I don't know. I mean, obviously, you know where I was then. I was at Boston College trying to chase
Were those
you down.
all handwritten? Somebody has those handwritten?
Guys
Tom
like
Konchowski?
Tom Konchowski, Bob Gibbons, Clark Francis, the Hoop Scoop. I go to the Hoop Scoop because his stuff is online, and maybe Bob Gibbons as well online to see what the rankings were back then in '95.
I gotta go microfilm, the Boston Public Library. Like the old microfilm, pull up the old Boston Globe, all Scholastic. Scholastic teams, Wayne Turner, Scooney, Penn, Marcus Wills.
Eggy
McCray, the Spider-Man, Eggy McCray.
Hey, how about Shannon Bowman? Nobody wanted a piece of Shannon. He was a killer.
The beast, Shannon Bowman. He was a class or two ahead of me. So it was one of those whenever you played, whenever I played against him, he just beat you up. It was no basketball. He just beat you up and then score. Punch you.
So
score.
it was you, Scooney, Chris Herron, Wayne Turner. Hell of a basketball.
Chris was 94.
Okay.
So he was a year early. Mickey Curley was 95, class of 95, Boston College Eagle, just like you. We're reminiscing. Shout out. See this, Coach? This is an actual shooting shirt from 1997. Still fits. I was smart enough, though. I took another kid's shooting shirt so I wouldn't get in trouble.
Right. You got to have your shooting shirt.
Right, but I stole someone else's, so they think he's the one that took it.
That's Everett Mast all the way right there.
Chess and checkers, Coach. Come on now. So you obviously, people very familiar with you, class rankings, player rankings. We got Razorbacks watching this, listening to this. Everybody's excited about the class of 2022. Let's start there, and then we'll get into a few other things. Yep. Nick Smith, Jordan Walsh, Darian Ford, Joseph Payne.
Barry Dunning.
Oh, that's right. Alabama kid. 5. Where are they right now in that class of 2022?
In terms of class rankings nationally, they're third.
Third. Okay. Overall third. 5. So that's 5 signed.
I don't remember in the time that I've done this since 2009, Arkansas has never been third, and they certainly haven't been in the top 10 that I remember. They could have been, but not recruiting at this pace with this type of relentlessness.
That's right. So 5 high-level signees. Following Coach Musselman, is that typically a high number of freshman signees that you've seen him over his few years? Well, I guess he's Nevada a few years and Arkansas a few years.
Yeah, that's a lot of freshmen, but they're all inside the ESPN 100, which you and I have talked about before.
Yeah.
If I break it down, there's roughly 500,000 kids playing high school ball. Wow. And there's roughly, these are all estimations, about 100,000 plus 125,000 seniors. Okay, so 1,000 of those kids, high school, go play Division I college basketball, more or less about 1,000, because you got 300 and I think it's 51, 52 Division I programs now. They average 3 scholarships, so you're in the ballpark of about 1,100. But with the portal, that's lowered the number a little bit. Let's say 1,000. So out of the 1,000 that are going D1, we only rank 100. And you've got 5 of those in the 100. So when you start to break down the numbers, it really is phenomenal the work that Muss and his staff have done. The identification, the evaluation of the players, and then the pursuit to get them, and a lot of in-state prospects. And I think that's the key, Pat. You got to keep the good players at home. In the past, some of the good players have went other places. Obviously, a couple of guys from Arkansas in the past have went to, say, Kentucky or other places. So you're keeping the best players at home, man.
We don't want to hit it.
I couldn't keep the best at home. The best decided to go to Arkansas.
We just needed one more scholarship at BC or somebody to flunk out. You know, that never happened.
I take the onus, the responsibility. I had the gun. I was slow on the trigger.
Well, look how it all ended up. You know, everybody ended up moving on in a couple of years anyway.
Yeah. Look how everything just turned out beautifully. We won. We won the Big East championship, and we had some great years. And you became the all-time leading three-point shooter in Arkansas.
That's right. I would have loved to play with Scooney though in college. Would have loved to play with Scooney. He could go.
And Mickey would have freed you up with some hard screens.
Yeah, that was
he would have got you open.
Yeah, no doubt. One of the big names, Nick Smith in Arkansas, is at North Little Rock High School now. I actually had a little bit of an issue with the beginning of his high school this year, playing high school, because he had transferred. McDonald's All-American team just announced. Nick Smith's on that team. I don't get a chance to go and watch. I'm not living in Little Rock right now like I was, so I would get a chance to watch a lot of these guys play. What can you tell me about Nick Smith and what you see in his game?
Really skilled as a backcourt player. Originally and through his career, Pat, he's a guy who came off screens, whether it was a pin down, a stagger, or a spot up. On penetration, he would spot up and move. So he was a guy who came off of spot ups and screens, knocked down threes, and also into the pull. He's got a beautiful pull-up jump shot. And then, of course, he can take it all the way to the rim in the high school game. He's 6'4", super athletic. He's got great bounce. He's got a great first vertical when he takes off. And then he's got a quick second jump when he's at the rim. He's got terrific body control. And then in the last year or so, the ball's been in his hands, especially like in the summertime when guys can, maybe play with a little bit more freedom to see what they can do.
Right.
And he played for Bradley Beal Elite, which is Bradley Beal's team.
Yeah.
And he really navigates well now in pick and roll. So when he comes off a ball screen, if you're going to go under, he's going to make you pay. If you chase him over, he's going to attack, create separation. He can get to the rim, get to his pull-up, and he's starting to find guys. So he's becoming I don't want to say a point guard, because I think his DNA is to score the basketball, and he scores it at a high level. And I think that's what you can count on when he gets to Arkansas. Transition, he may run to the corners, may run to the wings. In the half-court set, you're going to run stuff for him, or you can make him a screener. He'd be a great decoy, obviously. He'd get other guys open if he set screens, because he's not afraid to shoot. He's not afraid to drive. He's an aggressive scoring guard who could turn into a lead guard, because he is comfortable with the ball in his hands. He's making better decisions, and he's kind of relentless on the court. Like, he just keeps coming at you all game. Doesn't matter the score. He's got that mentality that he's going to keep coming all game long, regardless of the score. He really has this, intuition to be the best and to be highly competitive. And he's a quiet, unassuming kid off the court in many ways. And on the court, he's not very loud. He doesn't talk much at all, but his game is very loud.
So one of the things this year's team, last year's Razorback team, wasn't a high volume 3-point shooting team, but they did have Moses Moody. Yeah, Moses was such a consistent shooter, good 3-point shooter. He could stretch the defense. At times, Coach Muss would put him in the corner. They're missing that this year. Is Nick Smith that consistent of a deep threat that he can do? He's going to shoot 40 plus from the 3-point line.
No, I don't think he's a consistent shooter. I think he's a consistent scorer.
Okay.
So I think when you throw it to him, the 3-point shot, freshman, there's a huge learning curve. He's not a drop dead pure shooter, very good shooter. But that adjustment from high school to college, like that's almost another session for you and I. The time commitment, the strength and conditioning, the grueling practices, the terminology, and how coaches are stressing defense versus how coaches are stressing. That was your alarm, so I wouldn't be late.
I always, coach, that's if I did not have my phone alarm, forget about it. I'd be late for everything. I forget everything. I wouldn't even know what day it is.
All right, I got to get back. Hold on.
Oh, we got you, coach. I did like what you were saying about the
so he's a scorer versus a shooter. So I think when broken plays happen, shot clock winding down,
he's a guy.
1-2 dribble, pull up, knock it down, a quick drive to the basket, make an open shot. I think he's a guy who's going to score points. The key for him is not to be volumish, to be more efficient, because all these high school players, not all of them, but most of them are very volumish, and they got to learn that the efficiency to the game. But he's a guy that can put points on the board, broken plays, set plays, and his mentality. You guys are going to love his mentality. He's going to keep coming. On the road, at home, he's going to play to the crowd a little bit at home, but he's a tough guy mentally.
The great Leo Papale told me right before I embarked on my journey to Fayetteville, he said, "There's anything you do, you've got to learn how to defend the 3-point line." Right. And you know how difficult everything is, but the 3-point line, whether it is understanding how to catch and shoot quickly from high school to college, you don't have that time from the catch to the shot, the gap closes quick when you get to call, and also defending, right? Because if in high school you defend in the 3, well, you get a little time to get out there. Leo was like, man, you got to figure it out fast, which we were able to do. The other signee that they have, coach, Jordan Walsh, he's another McDonald's almond. Now, it's true or false? You just came from McDonald's.
Well,
drive-through, or did you go in?
Well, no, actually, I went to Starbucks.
No Dunkin' Donuts?
Well, we're limited where I live. So I went to Starbucks today, but no, I was part of the McDonald's All-American Selection Committee, and we just announced the rosters. We'll do the game in March.
Oh, I thought you come from the actual restaurant McDonald's.
No, I'm trying. I'm trying to get some fries and a Big Mac like the old days. And but he's a beast. He's a real beast. Now you've got 2 guys in the top 10 in the nation coming to Arkansas next year. So what I'm going to say is buy season tickets now, because depends. We never know who's going to come back, right? But we do know who's scheduled to come in. And Smith is the real deal. He's a local player. He's a big time player. Everybody in the country wanted him. You have him. So he's your 2-guard, point guard type.
How big is he?
He's 6'3" plus. I maybe stretch him to 6'4". Now Jordan Walsh is a beast. Okay. He's about 6'7" plus. He's got great springs. I mean, he elevates in tight places, and he really concentrates on the defensive end. I think that's what really attracted Muss. He's a hard playing dude. He gets into you defensively. He denies wings. Mm-hmm. He rebounds so well at 6'7", and he rebounds defensively, and he has the skill to take it in the open floor, not do too much. But defending, rebounding, and using his athletic ability to cover ground on closeouts and rotations, and his effort is like never ending. Okay, so you're getting all that early. Now, he doesn't understand angles and terminology and all the things that Coach Mutz is going to teach, whether it's a gap line defense, a denial defense, help and recover, the ball screen coverages. Those things are difficult for kids. But I think he can be a very good freshman defender. Now, on the offensive end, he's a wing. He loves to beat you off the dribble. He's capable from 3, but he's best driving and he's best on the pull-up. And he attacks the offensive glass. Now, I was at a camp in October, McDonald's camp. Joe Wooten, the president of the McDonald's, has a camp in October that I help him with. So we had all these high-profile players, many McDonald's All-American candidates and actually McDonald's All-Americans now. So we have a little bit of fun. We play a one-on-one competition, right? We limit it to 3 dribbles. Get the best players we can. No. I'm coaching. I'm coaching the whole time. So we limited the one-on-one competition, 3 dribbles, and kept it really clean and efficient. But anyway, Jordan Walsh wins the one-on-one. Made a couple of threes, but what he does is he'll shot fake you, pull up shot. He'll shot fake you, hesitate, drive to the rim. And Pat, when he gets in close to the basket, he really can elevate and punch it home. He takes long strides. Good offensive player, very good defender. He gives you a little bit of both, but he's going to give you that toughness and that effort that you're really looking for.
How can you tell if a player is going to be an impact player his freshman season? Because we've seen recently Kentucky kind of suffered through this a little bit last year, and so not just singling them. There were other schools where they do have high-level 5-star McDonald's guys that have the impact that some other guys do. Are you able to see something in before, or it's just you never know what you got till you get them on campus and put them through stuff?
Well, it's a little bit of both. I mean, I'm hoping after all these years I can figure out who can impact, like Jabari Smith, Ty Washington. I couldn't sing their praises enough in terms of their growth and development over the high school, and especially their senior season at high school. And, I just thought that they would be impact guys in different ways, which they are. You saw Ty go down at Auburn, and Kentucky couldn't pull it out.
They were up 9 when he went out of the game.
They were up 9. I mean, that's how much of a difference maker he is for them. So for me, it's a bunch of categories. I got it on paper, but I really got it up here. You got to look at athleticism. You got to look at physical measurables. You have to. You see how that can impact the game. Then the skill level, the ability to shoot threes, shoot pull-ups, make your layups, make free throws. How do you handle? How do you pass the ball? How do you function with other players? That, to me, that's all like in the skill category. Then defend and rebound. Are you just a good on-ball defender? Are you a good help defender? Ty Washington took 60-something charges in his 4 years of high school. I mean, I knew that. And he takes charges now, and they love him defensively as well as he is offensively. So I go through this checklist, and, I also get into high IQ. Because, Pat, you were a very smart player. You knew you were a great shooter, average defender, okay? But you knew how to get open and get your shot off because you knew that was your main weapon. So what you did is you learned how to use screens, how to move it out the ball, and utilize your dribble and jab step just to get that space so you can get that shot off back in the 90s. So I'm looking at IQ. That's huge.
Hey, and the refs didn't call many fouls back then, too, Coach. So we had to push them off and then shoot.
That was physical. That was physical combat in the 90s.
Yeah, I mean, you breathe on a guy. They're giving you a little, go to the free throw line. See how take your free shots.
Can you imagine if you played in today's game? You break all more records. So the IQ is big, and then I go to the traits. And for me, traits, I mean, what are your on-court traits that separate you from someone else? Are you a real everyday worker? Like Jordan Walsh, everyday guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Everyday guy. I've seen it. I've been with him. I know it. Right. Darian Ford, the kid you got coming in, the other kid, the power guard. Okay. Everyday guy.
This kid, I see this kid, Ford, he posts all these things on social media. He's got I think he's got 2 Volkswagens attached to a weight bar, and he's like bench pressing the Volkswagens. I go, what the heck what is in the water down there? And I forget what small town he's from, but my goodness, he's filthy. Strong kid. Strong,
attacking, tenacious. He's an exciting player. He's a dynamic player. He does so many things on the court. He can make momentum-changing plays, as can Jordan Walsh and Nick Smith. So I have these categories, Pat, and then I watch how they function with their team. I watch how they function with their coach, because if they're not coachable, it's going to be hard to impact right away. Jabari Smith, there's not many more coachable than Jabari Smith. But when I say Jabari Smith at 6'10", long and athletic with great skill and footwork, people get excited. When I say coachable, it's not a turn on. It's not sexy. But when you're coachable, this, you have a teachable spirit. You come in with questions. You don't come in with the answers. You learn faster, you produce better, and you produce bigger. So I'm looking at guys that are really coachable. I'm looking at guys that are great teammates. I'm looking at body language. I'm looking at everyday effort. I mean, I got a whole list of categories in my head to separate, the 5-star talent, because not all 5-star talent is the same. And Nick Smith, has all the talent. I think he's got to learn how to defend better and be more every day in that aspect. And I think he knows that. I think he's willing to do it. I think he's a very determined kid. That's why he's so high in the rankings. He's number 6 in the ESPN 100, and Jordan Walsh right around 10, I believe. So these guys have the drive and desire along with their skills and athleticism. Are they coachable? So far, yes, but we'll find out. What's their body language going to be like when Musk gets on them and the staff gets on them and the crowd starts to boo? What's your body language going to be like? Because your body language tells me what you're thinking. What type of teammate are you going to be? Are you going to be just concerned about yourself and your brand and your NIL deal? Or are you going to be worried about everybody on the team? So these things factor into guys that end up contributing versus influencing versus impacting.
Before we move on, let me tell you guys a little bit about our partners over at BetRivers Sportsbook. If you haven't signed up for BetRivers yet, now is the time, because they are offering a $250 match bonus for your first deposit. But what sets them apart is that they require just one playthrough to turn your bonus into cash money. With their Rush Pay instant approval, withdrawing your winnings is safer, it's more secure, and it's more reliable. Now that basketball season is tipping off, get in on the action at betrivers.com today, or by downloading the BetRivers iOS app. You must be 21 years or older. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. And while I got you here, let's talk about the Field of 68 Media Network, where college basketball matters most all year round. This is a digital media and podcast network that we've been building over the course of the last year. We have shows hosted by some of your favorite players covering the program that they love the most. AJ Guyton hosts the House of Hoosier. Eric Devendorf covers Syracuse on the Scorer's Table. Dan Dickow hosts the Gonzaga Bulldog broadcast. We have Florida's Patrick Young and Duke's Andre Dawkins and North Carolina's Shammond Williams and Michigan's Stu Douglas and Illinois' Deion Thomas. The list goes on and on and on. We have more than 30 shows right now. So hit the links below and check them all out. And while you're at it, make sure that you go check out the Field of 12 Media Network, your home for college football.
Well, what's your philosophy on the pressures of an in-state kid playing for their home state university? And Arkansas in particular, it's a very, that's it. The Razorbacks is the biggest show in town and the only show in town. There are some coaches who feel there's the pro and con to it, unless a guy is absolutely 5-star All-American, guaranteed. But if he's, some coaches feel different. I was just listening to a story about, I think it was Woody Hayes said if he wouldn't take a kid from Columbus, Ohio, unless he was guaranteed All-American, because if he did, the kid did, it isn't, he doesn't play, the entire community is up in arms. Why aren't you playing the kid from Columbus? Well, he's good. He's not that great. So, however, with that being said, I know personally a lot of non-5-star or 4-star or even 3-star Arkansas kids who go up to play for them. And they make all the difference in the team because of the heart and the passion and the pride. I don't know if you have thought about that or if you have a philosophy on the in-state debate.
Yeah, and it's changed a little bit over time. When you were coming out, we wanted to make sure that, you would play.
Well, Chris Herron was a perfect example.
Chris Herron was a no-brainer, right? In terms of talent, he was a no-brainer.
But the pressure
was enormous. But I think with Chris, because he was so high profile, the pressure would have been anywhere. I thought Billy Curley was a great example because Billy lived it all 4 years at Boston College. And don't forget, when Billy came to BC, his first year, we were 1-15 in the Big East. They were booing us. They wanted us out. Billy wasn't any good. Our team wasn't good. The coaches, we were terrible. And then we made NIT second year, and then NIT third year, then Elite Eight. So you have to grow with the program. But to answer your question, I think if you're a coaching staff, you have to be sure that you really want that player. You can't recruit a hometown kid or a local kid just because they're local, because you're recruiting them for the wrong reason. There's pressure maybe from your board of trustees. Let's be honest, right? There's people on campus that say, they whisper to coaches all the time, whether it's someone in administration or a board of trustees or alums, hey, we really like you to bring in so-and-so. He's in-state kid. And that's where, as a coach, you got to draw the line and say, do we really want this kid? And then in what capacity do we want him? Because the player and the coach have to agree upon the role. So if it's a 4-star player who's maybe a low 4-star, if they agree upon this is going to be your role versus you thinking you're going to be a starter or a go-to guy or a centerpiece of the program because you were in high school, we have a different role for you. If that gets communicated on the front end, then I think everything works, because
right.
you don't want to build that avalanche, of talking in the stands, like a certain kid should be playing more versus, a kid from out of state. So if you're a coach, you're only recruiting guys who you think can really help you, and you're going to miss. You can't take every in-state kid. You're not going to get every in-state kid. I may want you as a role player, but somebody else, maybe even outside the conference, wants you as a starter.
Sure.
Let me give you a quick example. When I'm in Ohio State, you remember the name Chris Quinn?
Yeah, absolutely.
Played at Notre Dame. Played at Notre Dame. Yeah.
Coach at Miami.
Yeah, played for the Miami Heat. Okay.
Played for the Heat. Yeah.
Local Columbus kid. We just went to the Final Four. We're loaded in the backcourt. Scooney's got one more year left, but he's leaving. We've got all these great guards. So we have Chris Quinn, and we're recruiting him. So we couldn't offer him a scholarship out of high school, but we did offer him a red shirt. Well, you know what happened with that. Notre Dame came in and said, hey, we're going to give you a uniform. Forget the red shirt, okay?
We'll give you a parking spot. We'll give you a uniform.
We'll give you tickets to football games, whatever they did. I don't know. But the thing is, he played a little bit as a freshman, played a lot as a sophomore. To his credit, he got tremendously good on the perimeter, shooter, point guard, and he's in the NBA. So, I mean, we had to recruit him. We were very straightforward with him. I mean, we could have said all these other things like, we want you, we need you. But if we do that and it doesn't work out, both parties lose out. So I think communication on the role is important, the expectations. And I think all coaches have to recruit who they want and not go by what other people tell them.
Yeah, that's a good point. What can you tell us, and you're right in there in the thick of things at tournaments and camps, so you see Coach Muffin and you see what have been your interactions with him and just his approach to recruiting, high school recruiting? Because coming in, everybody's like, oh, Coach Muss is just a transfer portal. His, high school, and now he signs five top 100. So over the last couple of years since he's been a Hog, what have been your impressions of him?
On the recruiting trail, I mean, they're laser focused. They know who they want to get. They identify talent really well. Then they evaluate exceptionally well, and they've closed. They've closed on all these big players.
Yeah, they have.
I've been really impressed with all the guys. You talked about Moses Moody last year, right? They do a great job of being detailed, just like he does with his scouting reports and his game preparation. I happened to call one of his games when he was at Nevada, so got to watch practice, shoot around. I know him a little bit, not great, but I knew his dad real well, pretty well. I talked to his dad frequently, and his dad was just a super basketball coach, and as you can imagine, he loved the game. Yeah, his dad loved the game. He was obsessed with the game, but great teacher of the game too. And so I think Muss and his staff are relentless in a good way, where they're finding the guys, evaluating the guys, and then they've closed this year. And I think they've been fantastic when it comes to recruiting. They're not going to get every good player every year in the state, but he certainly has enough connections out of state if the in-state kids don't want to come to get the right player. Because at the end of the day, it's not about bringing in the hometown kids. It's about winning with the best players that you can find that fit their role. You'd like some of those guys, of course, to be hometown kids.
And I was talking to Moses Moody's father, Kareem Moody.
Yeah,
I've known Kareem for a long time, going back to Little Rock. He used to be a hooper too back in the day, Kareem, and he was explaining to me how Coach Muss and his staff laid it all out.
Yeah.
Explaining how not only we're going to help you on the court, but off the court. And so many things probably have changed in recruiting.
Yeah.
And how has, I can remember talking with Malik Monk's brother, Marcus, about the recruiting process.
There's another one.
It was the first time I ever heard branding. And it was Marcus was trying to explain to me how part of the recruiting process now is how you're going to help with the brand. And it was so foreign to me. And this is what, 5-6 years ago, whatever it is. So how important, or I guess what impact has social media branding, NIL now? What's that impact? How has that changed recruiting, and how have you seen coaches be able to use it to their advantage legally?
Yes. Legally. Well, the other thing about Muss, and I talked about detail, if you remember the story with, I believe it was Nick Smith or Jordan Walsh, maybe both of those guys, he had a huge whiteboard of everything written out of his detailed plan for his player from the moment they come on campus in June.
Wow.
Day by day, week by week, every month, like a calendar, till your last game, to how we're going to prepare you for the NBA draft. I mean, it was all on a big whiteboard. And he had so when the recruit walked in, it was Jordan Walsh, I believe, and maybe Nick Smith, maybe both. Like, there was a whole presentation just on the wall already pre-written. So you got to have a plan for kids, because that's what they want to know. What's your plan for me? We know we want to win. Okay, that we agreed on that, but can we agree on what your plan is for me and how you'll utilize me, and what background do you have in the game to help me get where I want to get to? So it must be in the NBA as a head coach, his experience now in the college game as an assistant in LSU and a head coach in Nevada. So he puts these plans together. Now, some guys can put plans together and can't follow through. We see the results. I mean, player development is a focal point of Arkansas with winning. And Muss does a great job with that. I wanted to mention that because that's a huge selling point, Pat, for today's kid. That's part of helping these kids get to where they want to get to, along with us winning. So branding, social media, there's a lot of fluff involved today. I got to tell you, there's a lot of fluff when it comes to scouting, when it comes to coaching. How
difficult is it recruiting a parent or a guardian, uncle, whoever is a representative of a player?
Well, I call it the 360. You have to know everybody around that player's circle, right? That's the circle. So you have to have a relationship or a communication with everyone in the circle. And you have to be realistic. You can't just tell everybody how great somebody is, because not everybody's that great. I had an NBA GM that you probably know pretty well. I won't say his name, but he played for a team that you loved, and he was a good player. And he sent me a text one day, and he said, "I follow your stuff. I read everything. I love your insight. I know you coached." He says, "But I read a lot. Can everybody be this good all the time?" And I was like, "Of course not. Not everybody's that good all the time." So you have to, when you're recruiting the circle for the players, you have to be realistic on what the gap is between where they are and where they want to go. You have to have a plan, and you have to be straightforward. They have to decide where they want to, invest their time and, energy with staff, because a lot of staffs can say the right thing, but you got to have some proof, right? And you look at what Muss has done over his career. I mean, he's done a lot of great things in the game, winning wise and player development wise. And then, he's a phenomenal practice coach. And I think that's a big part of it. I was with Rick Majerus, and Majerus always used to say, "We're going to play like we practice, or we're going to play really close to the way we practice. That's why we're going to be good in practice." And it was an emphasis. And Tibbs, right? I played for Tibbs up at Salem.
Oh, that's right.
Tibbs said it on social media just about a month ago. You play like you practice. That's why you focus on practice and you don't focus on the games. We know the games are important. We're sky high for the games. We got to be ready for having a great practice. So the brand is important because kids and parents and hanger-oners and trainers and coaches, they all think that there's some money there for the prospect. And there is, but this NIL stuff, this is only for the high-level player, Jordan Walsh and Nick Smith. As they matriculate into Arkansas, they have real opportunity.
Right.
Because they're high-profile players that have a following. Even if they didn't have a following on social media, they're high-profile players, so they're important to the Arkansas community. So I'm sure the businesses, the fan base, the alumni of Arkansas, and the people that are with Jordan Walsh or with Nick Smith will get together and find opportunities. But I don't want the players just thinking about NIL money when you have a GPA to worry about, or that's important, and you have your game to worry about, and that's important. That's why I say for kids to focus on their teammates. Don't be so busy with branding and NIL that, you know, you're not concerned about your teammate, his feelings, his family, what's going on in his life. Because by improving and winning, you're going to help your brand tenfold, no matter how many tweets, no matter how many thumb tweets you put out there. Right? That's what the fluff is. It's nice to put out things of highlights and good things that you do, but the grind and you know, and the
Coach
toughness happens in practice.
Arkansas's Devo Davis comes in as a freshman, you know, because he's from the Rock area, Jacksonville. They go to the Elite Eight. He's on billboards now. I mean, and so you're right. It's about really what you do when you get there. You know, I mean,
and you got, but the grind, as you know, and I know, it's a full day every day, and you know, you even have to learn to know how to rest. Yeah, you have to learn. You have to learn how to recover now. The ice bath, you know, the cryo. There's all these different things that, you know, take time to get your body right for the next day. And sleep is a big thing. Not being on your phone is going to become a skill soon. Just to put that thing away and shut it down.
Sleep.
Now, if you have a huge social media following, like let's say LeBron's son, Bronny, who's a really good player. I love his game and I love his demeanor, but he's got 6 million people following him right now. If he never played basketball again, he would have endorsement opportunities, branding opportunities, business opportunities. There'd be no, you know, or NIL if you want to call it in college. That's going to happen for him regardless. But for 98%, your brand is your game. Your brand is winning. Your brand is your character. Go ahead and make a stupid mistake character-wise. Nobody's going to pay you money to see you make a mistake. Even though you're a kid, 18 to 22, you're going to make a ton of mistakes. But if you do something in public and people find out, that's going to hurt your brand. Right. So don't grow up too fast. Don't chase the money. Chase the guy off the 3-point line instead.
Yeah. With Bronny James, what is he going? Ohio State?
No, he's just a junior, and you know he's got to make a decision like some of the good players in the class. Do I want to go to college? You know, do I want to go to the G League after I graduate, or do I want to leave high school and play in the overtime league? One thing they don't need is money.
Didn't LeBron go to Ohio State? I think
LeBron would. Yeah, we were recruiting him his first 2 years.
And then
I was going out to Akron, and Dave Spiller, our other assistant, we were driving out to Akron. We had Keith Dambrot bring LeBron up on campus for unofficial football game practice. And by the time he was a junior, the Eggman, Kenny Williams, said to me, you better stop recruiting him, man, because NBA's recruiting him now.
He could leave after his junior year in high school.
Yeah, I was told that to save my gas and to save my stamps, you know, we write the handwritten notes back then because he's coming to the league. So we stopped recruiting him because we didn't want to waste our time. But and you know, he was obviously the greatest player in my time of coaching when I'm watching him in high school. So just, you know, for Bronny, I don't know what direction he's going to go at. With Bronny, it's going to be about development. You know, where can he best be happy? You know, college camp is pretty fun.
Pretty fun,
pretty normal. You got thousands of kids your own age. You got to learn how to function with other kids. You got to learn how to be respectful. You got to see people that are different than you. You know, I'm a big college guy because that's the way I've been in the game. But I think it's great for personal growth, not just the basketball game.
Couple more, Coach, and I'll let you get out of here. Is there anything a player or their family can do to hurt their recruiting? Like, have you ever seen, I'm sure you see it all the time, but what are some of the things that you've seen that, you know, just turns off coaches like immediately?
You know, when kids act like fools and say stupid things on social media, whether they use vulgarity or not, and the parents enable them to do that.
Yeah.
Because college staff.
The coaches are looking at everything. They're looking
they have managers and they have volunteers and they have secretarial staff or administration staff that are looking at people's social media all the time. So if a kid is spouting off on how he doesn't like the rankings and F the rankings.
Right.
Okay, well, as a parent, you're going to let your kid post that? A kid should be upset about whatever he wants to be upset about. But a parent's role, because I am one, is to try to help my child express their feelings and handle it in a better fashion. So if they put something mean out about another player, anything derogatory on social media, automatic turnoff. Now that's for the players and for the parents, because you got parents in the stands bad-mouthing high school coaches. So I'm watching you badmouth the high school coach. What do I think you're going to do when your son come and plays for me? So there are turnoffs by parents and players and trainers when they badmouth coaches or when they, you know, put people down or disrespectful on a social media platform. When they just get too obsessed, when parents get too obsessed about their kids, it's not healthy for anybody. And coaches don't want that. They don't want that drama. They want you hand your son over to me. We'll have an agreement on, you know, basketball, academics, and character. This is the way I run my program. Now, it's not my way or the highway. Can't be that way anymore. It's got to be strong communication.
Right.
But parents can't run the program.
Right.
You know, parents can't dictate playing time. They can certainly voice their feelings and communication. And I encourage coaches to not only talk to parents, but if I got back into coaching, I would go visit every player on my team, their parents at their home, like I did a home visit a long time ago. See, coaches do the home visit, then they never go to that house again.
Right. Yeah.
I would go back to a parent's house and you know, let's break bread, let's talk, and let's communicate, because it's really about communication. It's about listening and it's about explaining. But parents can be turnoffs, players can be turnoffs, anything that's disrespectful, anything that, you know, even on the officials sometimes parents and even kids, when kids get really bad body language and bad language and get technical fouls, I can't tell you how many times coaches say to me, you know, my head guy doesn't want that.
Right. It's that simple.
So I'm looking at everything, and I try to tell parents and players, you know, how they can help themselves in the recruiting process. Now, if you're high profile and you want to do those things, some high profile coaches will still take you. Guess what? Some won't.
Some won't. Coach, you've been great. East Boston's fun. I owe you a Santapios. I'll ship it out there to Charlotte, North Carolina. Don't worry.
You're going to ship out the pizza?
I'd bring it to me on my flight on Friday, but you just get crust and some crumbs by the time I land.
Okay.
So I'll make sure that they put you in the freeze box for you, so you can have
all right.
Heat it up.
This has been great, and I'm so proud of you when you went to Arkansas, and now what you're doing with your career after. You know, I know you had a big time radio show, and now you're a celebrity with the SEC network. So I'm grateful for the call.
Coach, I'm grateful for you. Thank you, brother. You're always there. Text me back, call me back. I appreciate communication. You're one of the best, and I appreciate it.
All right, Pat. Thanks.
All right. Stay safe, Coach.